record. So yes, hello everyone. I'm so excited, y'all. I am perpetually excited. Like I can't, like all my teeth are showing. So welcome to the 18th lesson for the sharing group of studying A Course in Miracles. I wanted to show y'all real quick. Stanley bought me A Year of Forgiveness. This book it has all the lessons from A Course in Miracles plus Jesus's commentary in it. So if y'all didn't want to, have to go on YouTube, on Tina's page, to go on YouTube. He got me this, one of the gifts he got for me for Valentine's Day. He was like, I've never been with a woman who wanted a book for Valentine's Day. So, but I wanted to show y'all that. I think it's just like $20 on Amazon. So I'm excited about that. I wanted to share that with everybody. And tonight we are going to be talking about God is in everything. Again, this is lesson 18. So the 18th lesson in A Course in Miracles is I am not alone in experiencing the effects of my seeing. And so I'm going to be jumping around. I'm going to be just in A Course in Miracles tonight. Before I start that, though, I did want to read the Principles of Miracles. This is the last, y'all, of the Principles of Miracles. It's going to be Principles 47 through 50. So Principle 47 is, the miracle is a learning device that lessens the need for time. It establishes an out-of-pattern time interval, not under the usual laws of time. In this sense, it is timeless. The miracle is the only device, this is 48, at your immediate disposal for controlling time. Only revelation transcends it, having nothing to do with time at all. 49 says the miracle makes no distinction among degrees of perception. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. I'll repeat that. It is a device for perception correction, effective quite apart from either the degree or the direction of the error. This is true indiscriminateness. And Principle 50 says the miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what it is and what is in accord with it as true. Okay. So 50 again is the miracle compares what you have made with creation, accepting what is in accord with it as true, and rejecting what is out of accord as false. Okay, so those are the last of the meaning of miracles. So I wanted to start out with a quote from Eckhart Tolle. And this quote says, or kind of like a saying, it says, do you know of someone whose main function in life seems to make everyone in themselves miserable, to spread unhappiness? Forgive them, for they too are a part of the awakening of humanity. The role they play represents an intensification of the nightmare of egoic consciousness, the state of non-surrender. There is nothing personal in all this. It is not who they are. I actually had this saying at my job, just in my cube at work, because it just brings us back to the purpose of everybody. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight, is seeing God in everything. So tonight I wanted to highlight lesson 29 in A Course in Miracles. Lesson 29 says, God is in everything I see. And I just thought that was a powerful lesson. And so I wanted to talk about the love and the power that we tap into when we see God in everything. As we read lesson 29 of A Course in Miracles, we recognize and acknowledge that God is in everything we see, because everything shares the purpose of the universe. So by this assertion, if God is even in inanimate objects, surely he is in your brothers and sisters. So I'm going to start in A Course in Miracles, page 10, paragraph 6. Page 10, paragraph 6. Okay, it says, you respond to what you perceive, and as you perceive, so shall you behave. The golden rule asks you to do unto others as you would have them do unto you. This means that the perception of both must be accurate, meaning the perception of yourself and others must be accurate. The golden rule is the rule for appropriate behavior. You cannot behave appropriately unless you perceive correctly. Since you and your neighbor are equal members of one family, as you perceive both, so you will do to both. You should look out from the perception of your own holiness to the holiness of others. So this text, of course, we've all heard about the golden rule, doing unto others as we would have them do unto us. One of the things, though, that I love about Jesus is he is going to break that all the way down. So he talks about, in order to really do this, in order to really perceive other people and treat other people as you would perceive yourself, you have to have the right perception in order to do this. And in order to have an accurate perception, in order to behave appropriately, we have to perceive correctly, and honor other people as our brothers and sisters. So we're going to delve deeper into how do we do that. So first, you must recognize your own divinity, right? That you are a divine spark of light from source. Last week, we talked about who we are and why we are here, that we're here on purpose, that we are all individuations of God, that as a son or daughter of God, you have inherited his kingdom, right? So on page 101 of A Course in Miracles, I'm going to read from paragraph 6. On page 101, it says, "Hear then the one answer of the Holy Spirit to all the questions the ego raises. You are a child of God, a priceless part of his kingdom, which he created as part of him. Nothing else exists, and only this is real. You have chosen a sleep in which you have had bad dreams, but the sleep is not real, and God calls you to awake. There will be nothing left of your dream when you hear him, because you will awaken. Your dreams contain many of the ego's symbols, and they have confused you. Yet that was only because you were asleep and did not know. When you wake, you will see the truth around you and in you, and you will no longer believe in dreams because they will have no reality for you. Yet the kingdom and all that you have created there will have great reality for you because they are beautiful and true." So, this paragraph tells us that we're children of God, that we're a priceless part of his kingdom. And it also talks about us being asleep. And we've talked about this before. That's why when people recognize who we are, they say, you woke. So that's like this new term now. Well, that's because this whole thing that we're living, this environment that we see, that we're in, what we see from our eyes, It's an illusion. And Greg talked a little bit about that last week, how this is really an illusion. So God talks about, but you're gonna wake up. That's a part of the process. So now that we've established that we're God's children and that we were created in God's image and that we are God-like as created creators, in the same way that we acknowledge that God lives in us, we also acknowledge and perceive God in others. So I'm going to go to page 82. So I'm jumping around. 82, paragraph 4. So I'm reading sentences 3 through 6 in paragraph 4. It says, the mind that was in me is still irresistibly drawn to every mind created by God, because God's wholeness is the wholeness of his son. You cannot be hurt and do not want to show your brother anything except your wholeness. Show him that he cannot hurt you and hold nothing against him, or you hold it against yourself. Jesus says this is the meaning of turning the other cheek. So Jesus is saying, like, show your brother or your sister, we're divine beings. They really cannot hurt us. The only thing that they may try to hurt is the body, but we are beyond, we're higher than the body. So I'm gonna read something else that's powerful, y'all. It's on page 127, paragraph 2. Okay, paragraph 2, it says, when a brother acts insanely, he is offering you an opportunity to bless him. His need is yours. You need the blessing. You need the blessing you can offer him. You need the blessing you can offer him. There is no way for you to have it. There's no way for you to have that blessing except by giving it to your brother or sister. This is the law of God, and it has no exceptions. It says when you deny something to someone, you lack. Not because it is lacking, but because you have denied it in another and are therefore not aware of it in yourself. Every response you make is determined by what you think you are, and what you want to be is what you think you are. What you want to be then must determine every response you make. So Jesus is basically saying what you give and what you, if a brother acts insanely, and if you start acting insane with them, what gift have you given them? They are offering you an opportunity to bless them, and therefore an opportunity to bless you. I'm going to go further. On page 128, paragraphs 5 through 6, it says, the gift of life is yours to give because it was given you. You are unaware of your gift because you do not give it. You cannot make nothing live, since nothing cannot be enlivened. Therefore, you are not extending the gift you both have and are. And so you do not know your being. All confusion comes from not extending life, because that is not the will of your creator. You can do nothing apart from him, and you do nothing apart from him. Keep his way to remember yourself, and teach his way lest you forget yourself. Give only honor to the sons and daughters of the living God, and count yourself among them gladly. And paragraph 6 says, Only honor is a fitting gift for those whom God himself created worthy of honor and whom he honors. Give them the appreciation God accords them always, because they are his beloved sons and daughters in whom he is well pleased. So it says so it says, rest in his love and protect your rest by loving. But love everything he created, of which you are a part, or you cannot learn of his peace and accept his gift for yourself and as yourself. You cannot know your own perfection until you have honored all those who were created like you. So this is basically continuing to demonstrate the point that that in order to have something, give it, to honor and respect your brothers and sisters. Check this out, y'all. Check this out. Paragraph 7, sentence 5 through 8, it says, those who attack do not know they are blessed. You think about your coworkers who's always maybe cutting their eyes at you, or that person who you never feel good energy and you're always like, wonder what I did to them. Those who attack do not know they are blessed. They attack because they believe they are deprived. Give therefore of your abundance and teach your brothers and sisters theirs. Do not share their illusions of scarcity, or you will perceive yourself as lacking. So that is powerful. And so I was wondering, okay, I was like, God, how can I convey to everyone, what Jesus is saying when he's saying, like, if somebody comes to you and is attacking you, give them gifts. Don't continue to give them gifts of scarcity. And so God gave me this story, y'all. So there was a man, right? There was a man. We'll call this man Peter. This man, Peter, was miserable and was so desperate in his unhappiness that the only relief he experienced, though temporary, was in insulting others and observing their pain. For many unhappy people do this, some consciously, others unconsciously. So one day, this unhappy man, Peter, walked up to someone, pointed at them, and told them, "You are an idiot." So the man yelled, "What did you say? What did you just tell me?" And Peter repeated himself, and again it said, "You are an idiot." The man became furious and immediately began to attack Peter. Both of them fought bitterly until someone broke up the fight. So though Peter had many bruises from the brawl, he walked away satisfied, for he had been able to share his unhappiness with someone else. So the next day, Peter walked up to a second person and told them the same thing. "You are an idiot." Well, this man looked at Peter and scoffed at him. And he told Peter, "I'm not an idiot. You are. Look at you. You don't hold a candle next to me. What have you accomplished in life? I'm educated. I'm financially independent with a family and responsibilities. You are a loser and you'll never amount to anything." And at this, the man walked away. And though his ego was bruised, Peter was again satisfied, as he was able to hear from someone the very things he felt about himself. And in this way, he was able to punish himself, quote unquote, for his failures. Well, the following day, Peter walked up to a third person and did the same thing, pointed at him and said, "You're an idiot." And this man slowly lowered his head and nodded in agreement. Then the man began to talk about how he had lost his job and his wife and could not figure out how to manage his life at all. The man continued to lament over every detail of his life. And Peter patiently listened to every word, as he had met someone who made him feel better about his own situation and enjoyed the company that his misery loved. So Peter continued to do this every day, meet people and encountered some variation of these interactions, all sharing the same vibration, until one day he approached someone and, sticking to the same script, he told the person, "You are an idiot." The man smiled and looked into Peter's eyes and said, "Might I disagree with you, brother?" And the man continued by saying two of the most creative words in the universe. He said, "I am God, and so are you." Disarmed by this man's response, Peter was taken aback and wasn't sure how to respond to his statement. Peter thought, who is this person who claims to be God? And did he say that I was God as well? Peter was confused and oddly uncomfortable. What if he had in fact insulted God? He thought. If God were walking around in the flesh, would that not be how he would respond to such an insult? Never feeling the need to defend himself? It was not just what the man said that bothered Peter, but how he said it, how he peered into his eyes, and how the insult didn't seem to impact him at all, and how he responded with such kindness in his voice. Peter was so disturbed by the possibility of insulting God that he never said those words again, for he had heard something he had never heard before. And so Peter began his journey into his own truth, secretly thanking the man for helping him remember who he was. In this story, each person's response was a reflection of what they had and therefore what they gave. If they had anger, they gave it. If they were poor in spirit, they shared their poverty. And if they had love and presence, that was given as well. I'm going to end off by A Course in Miracles, page 221, paragraph 3. And it says, whenever you become angry with a brother for whatever reason, you are believing that the ego is to be saved and to be saved by attack. If he attacks, you are agreeing with this belief. And if you attack, you are reinforcing it. Remember that those who attack are poor. Their poverty asks for gifts, not for further impoverishment. You who could help them are surely acting destructively if you accept their poverty as yours. If you had not invested as they had, it would never occur to you to overlook their need. And so as I was reading this, I realized the incredible power that we demonstrate to ourselves and others and the universe when we forgive others. To operate from such a high level of consciousness, to say, you know what, that was foul what you did, and you may not do that anymore, but I am so rich in that which I am, that you may not know that you are God, that you are blessed, but I know that I am. And therefore, I understand that you cannot damage me. Lesson 110 of A Course in Miracles says that I am as God created me. I am just as whole and as unscathed as I was before I even incarnated in this lifetime. When we are being attacked, understand that the person who attacks us have actually come from a place of scarcity, of lack, of poverty. And they are asking for our gifts of love. What we give, we are. That is the highest demonstration of having something, is to give it. Um, let me read on page 129, paragraph 10. It says, you are the will of God. Do not accept anything else as your will, or you are denying what you are. Deny this and you will attack, believing you have been attacked. But see the love of God in you, and you will see it everywhere, because it is everywhere. See his abundance in everyone, and you will know that you are in him with them. They are a part of you, as you are a part of God. You are as lonely without understanding this as God himself is lonely when his sons do not know him. The peace of God is understanding this. There is only one way out of the world's thinking, just as there was only one way into it. Understand totally by understanding totality. So I wanted to read that this whole, I encourage everybody to go back and just read the chapter 7, the totality of the kingdom. There is so much there. There's so much there. One of my favorite greetings is Namaste, or Namaste, whichever way you pronounce it. Originating from India, it is a sign of gratitude and respect, and it's performed by putting the hands in the prayer position in front of the chest and the heart chakra. Namaste means I bow to you, or my favorite interpretation is I see God in you. And thinking about that statement, I see God in you. This really is one of the most powerful statements you can make to another, to indeed acknowledge to yourself and others that you see God in them. And by sensing and perceiving God in another is to see God in yourself. I often say this when thinking of someone else, many times without them even knowing it. I'll say, I bow to you. I see God in you. It is particularly good for the heart to say this quietly to someone in your mind when you are in the process of forgiving them or having forgiven them, to say, I see God in you, to bow to them in your heart. So everybody listen carefully. This is the secret of healing others. For someone to come to you in poverty. Sometimes poverty looks like attack. Sometimes poverty looks like depression. Sometimes poverty looks like desperation. When they come to you in poverty, and for you to look in their eyes and see God in them, beyond their condition, beyond their circumstance, to only see them as the divine spark of light that they are, that is incredibly healing. That is the secret to healing others, is seeing God in them, even if they don't see it in themselves. By seeing God in others, you will bless them just by allowing them to see their own reflection of themselves through your eyes. Practice this. See another being as who they truly are. This is how Jesus healed. He reached a state of true enlightenment and was able to see everyone as they truly were. And we're going to talk about more about that next week, about Jesus's journey. But I wanted to see if anybody had any thoughts on that? Hey, Edwin, how are you? I see you on here. Did anybody have any thoughts on tonight?
Yeah, so when you gave that story about, the guy going up to strangers and making those negative comments, to induce a reaction, like all I could think about was, ShopRite, Target, going about my day, running my errands, and you don't know what you're going to run into. And so for me, the way I handle those situations when, someone's rude to me or, somebody, is, cutting me off on the road or just any interaction I have with a stranger that is brief, but, impactful and negative, I really can go either way, right? Like it could be, a God bless you reaction, and it could be something different. And so this message for me is like, you can't let somebody, take you off your center. You can't let someone, have that power over you. But then also that's an opportunity for me to, to share my love, to share what I have. Because if I'm reacting, back in a negative way, it's like, oh, what's wrong with me? And so I just love how you kind of arm me with that, because I'm definitely gonna keep that in mind, the next time I have an encounter with someone, because I mean, let's face it, we live in New Jersey, right? It's gonna happen, right? Like, so yeah, so that's what I took from it. I didn't really take anything from it regarding people that I know, people that, like friends and loved ones, but it was more about just protecting myself and protecting others when I'm out and about encountering strangers. So I love that. I love that.
Good,
Yeah.
good. And I'm also thinking about the quote I read that Eckhart talked about, how those people who always seem to make everyone miserable, they have a function as well.
Yes.
And he says, this is not who they are, like forgive them.
Yes.
And it's hard. Sometimes it's hard. Oh, that's hard to do. That's challenging. But just, yeah, remembering, you know what? I read something somewhere where they were like, if somebody is insulting you or just, being rude or whatever, just imagine that person is me having a hard time.
Right.
That's me having a hard time, because we are all one.